For more than 2,000 years, humanity was stuck in the footsteps of its ancestors, trying to keep our world in reach of our tiny minds. We called a fraction of a portion of space our holy nation to defend from all intruders. Stuck in this loop of simplicity, it took some time until the creators amongst us surpassed their counters, and we became wanderers amongst the stars. Leaving for new, distant frontiers. And in a sea of reddish dust, we found a fountain of life.
Commander, I have an idea.
The intimations of a future in a life-bursting universe and its composition of infinity freed us from our human constraints. We found water on Mars, so we did what any self-respecting civilization would. Made of the earth.
Copying is not theft. Stealing a thing leaves one less left. Copying, it makes one thing more. That's what copying's for. Copying is not theft. If I copy yours...
My ideas about copyright were I believed that it protected me.
One of the main questions of my dissertation is looking at the relationship between ethics and the free and open source software movements. And obviously there's a very strong ethic for information freedom. What they have done is they've created the social and legal terms to cultivate technological production.
Freedom doesn't protect itself. You can give people freedom, but if they don't value it, they'll lose it.
The patent laws and the copyright laws are basically about 17th and 18th century conditions, implemented in 19th century ways, and then redeployed in the 20th century to meet 21st century problems.
Open source will allow individuals to have greater control.
Personally, for me, I don't want my heart to be relying on closed source code that hasn't been reviewed.
It kind of breaks my heart that software and the rest of culture are so separate from each other, because they're really not that different. They're just culture. The same principles apply to software and the rest of the cultural world. Films are disintegrating in cans. Film negatives, they can't be preserved because no one can spend the money preserving them, because it would violate copyright if they ever showed it. This is just killing art. There's so much culture that's been lost. It's heartbreaking.
Part of the problem has been getting people to understand that this is not an anti-copyright movement. Right? This is, in fact, a pro-copyright movement. It's a movement that's about making copyright make sense in the digital age.
All of these companies that wanted us to shut down only wanted it because we kind of ruined their business model.
And we took American Gods, a book that was still selling and selling very well, and for a month they put it up completely free on their website, and you could read it and you could download it, and what happened was sales of my books through independent bookstores, because that was all we were measuring it through, went up the following month 300%.
And a guy comes up to me and hands me a $10 bill. He says, "I'm sorry, I burned your CD from a friend." But I read your blog, I know you hate your label, I just want you to have this money. And this starts happening all the time.
So there's a lot of new thinking when it comes to business models on the internet.
And the model is that content is free. Zeros and ones are free, and here's a river of zeros and ones. Containers, however, are not free. Here are some examples of containers. You have a computer, a disk, a book. These are physical things. These are things that you might consider dead. Like the content in them is alive, but the container is not alive. It's property. That's fine. They are not free. That's how artists make money now. Not from hoarding the content, but from actually having good relations with the fans. And sharing your work with fans is beneficial for everybody. The fans distribute the work, and they support you. It's awesome.
This is heavy duty, Doc. This is great. Does it run like on regular unleaded gasoline?
Unfortunately, no. It requires something with a little more kick. Plutonium.
Plutonium. Wait a minute. Are you telling me that this sucker is nuclear?
Software is all around us, and sometimes inside us. But what happens when the tools we use are obeying someone else? A tool you control serves your interests, but if someone else controls it, they serve their own. When you can examine tools to see how they work, you're able to learn about them, even modify them to work differently or better. When you can share a tool and its changes, you help others, and in turn, they help you. In fact, this is how early computing developed. Everyone could see a program's code, and people shared their work freely to drive its growth. Every user was a potential author. But when companies began to lock source code away, it stopped being possible to participate, or even to know what the code was doing. In response, hackers formed the GNU project to create a computer system designed to respect the autonomy of users. They adopted a copyleft maneuver and built it into the GNU General Public License, a legal structure that preserves user rights. In 10 short years, the free software movement had produced the GNU Linux system, computing that nobody could own but anyone could use. Today it's keeping planes in the air, stocks trading, and the global internet running. We all encounter free software in invisible ways, but software freedom was designed for people. It's about what shape the technology we inhabit will take, and what kind of society we use our digital powers to build. We've still got work to do.
Excuse me. Excuse me, sir? Sir? Excuse me?
Oh, come on.
You have a moment, sir?
I'm kind of in the middle of something here. Yes, thank you.
I've come a long way for you, Frank. My name is Victor. Hi. And you are Frank. Oh, you are so much more than just a sheep, aren't you?
Oh, yeah? How would you know?
Look at you. You're an adventurer, Frank. Just like me. You're a lone wolf. Tell me, does one choose to be alone? No, one doesn't. One doesn't even choose to be a wolf. Or does one?
Well, Mr. Hector...
Victor.
I don't know what you're on about, but I'm just a sheep minding its own business. And I suggest you do the same.
No, Frank, wait. No, this is not the way. Just give me 1 minute of your precious time.
Precious time?
Yeah, just give me 1 minute. You would have 1 more minute, wouldn't you? Okay, half. Half a minute. I knew it. You will not regret this. The adventures you will have. All the lives you ever wanted. All you've been missing. Here, this is the best product we have in store. Variable spin speed, excellent tumble performance in one handy device. Squeaky clean.
Well, this better be good. It took me ages to tie that rope with my fucking hoofs.
No more need for hoofs. No more sheepy business. Oh, time flies.
Wait. How does this thing work? I mean, how do I make it work?
No, you don't. I just turned it on for you.
When can I go? Where can I go?
We will pick you up. Don't worry. Just stay here. In this exact place. Don't move. Just wait.
That's it? Hey! Wait! Mister! Casper! Hector, whatever! Huh? Huh? Huh?
In this video, I take a look at the Fedora Design Suite and decide if it's a good operating system for photographers running Linux. I haven't found too many Linux operating systems out there that are really aimed at photographers. There is a cool little spin of Ubuntu and Xubuntu, and they have a great collection of photography apps right out of the box. However, I like to use the GNOME desktop environment, and that's what led me to try the Fedora Design Suite. The Fedora Design Suite is a spin of the regular Fedora workstation. It includes tools that the Fedora design team uses to create artwork for the project. So this includes stuff like the default wallpapers for all the different releases, the cool badges that the contributors receive, various websites for the Fedora project, and a whole lot of other things like posters, t-shirts, CD labels, and other printed material. So the main focus of this distribution isn't only photography, but design in general. First though, I just want to focus on some of the photography software that's included. Ideally, after I install my operating system, I want to be ready to edit my photos without spending a lot of time installing and configuring applications. And the Fedora Design Suite does a pretty good job of this by including applications like my favorite open source raw photo editor, Darktable. And Darktable isn't just a raw photo editor, it's also a photo manager. So this is where I can rate my images, I can add keywords, I can search through my photo collection. It's really the foundation of my photography workflow in Linux. So I love that this is installed by default, and I wish more operating systems included it. Not surprisingly, GIMP is also included by default. And despite what you might hear online, GIMP is actually an excellent photography tool, especially if you want to touch up your photos after you've completed all your raw edits. And what's really important here is, the Fedora Design Suite doesn't just include the default version of GIMP, it actually includes a lot of extra plugins that add functionality like a high-pass filter, a liquid rescale feature, and the really popular Gimmick filter collection. So it's things like this that really make it better for photographers. It saves me time coming in afterwards and installing all these extra plugins. Some other helpful tools that are installed by default include Huggin. This allows you to create panoramas by stitching several photos together. Shotwell, the photo organizer, is in there. I don't use it myself. It's not a color managed application, but it is very popular, so I'm sure many people will be happy to see it there. If you love the command line, you're probably familiar with ImageMagick. This allows you to do some batch processing on the command line. Something that I was surprised to see, which I think is awesome, is there's extra ICC color profiles installed by default. You may not be familiar with these, but things like Adobe RGB and ProPhoto RGB, these profiles are already installed right out of the box, and that's another little thing that's a really great time saver for me. Since the Fedora Design Suite uses the GNOME desktop environment, it also includes the GNOME Color Manager. This is a great little tool that makes it easy for you to calibrate your monitor and manage color profiles. And since color management is an essential part of photography, it's great that this is included by default. Though not really a surprise, you do see this in other operating systems now. So when you put all these applications together, you really end up with a great collection of photography tools right out of the box. It's definitely better than you'll find in most popular Linux distribution. It covers a lot of areas from color management, photo management, raw photo editing. But of course, everybody's photography workflow is different. For me, the default applications aren't perfect, but they are a really great start. On my website, I outline my photography workflow on Linux. So I do, if you have a look, you'll see I do change things like the default image viewer. I add a program to download and rename my photos. I also have to install a few more plugins for GIMP that aren't included. So what about all those other tools I mentioned at the beginning for making posters, designing web pages, t-shirts, and so on? I'm sure many photographers won't need these, but for me it actually works out really well. I often use Inkscape to create vectors that I can use on my website, maybe on these YouTube thumbnail images. There's a font manager and viewer which are great when I'm working on art for web pages. I even use Scribus occasionally to make some fancy PDFs. The only extras I don't really use are maybe Blender and the Synfig Studio. However, if I compare the Fedora Design Suite to something like Ubuntu Studio, the Ubuntu Studio has a lot of extra audio and video applications that I don't use. It's also about 1 GB larger in size, so the Fedora Design Suite is definitely a better fit for me and possibly other photographers out there as well. Over the years, I ran various flavors of Ubuntu, and the transition to Fedora wasn't entirely smooth. However, I'm really happy with the change. Out of the box, the Fedora Design Suite had a great selection of photography tools. I didn't have to spend as much time installing plugins and other software. So if you're a Linux photographer and you like to have the latest and greatest version of the GNOME desktop environment, I really encourage you to check it out. It might turn out to be a great fit for you. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel and click the like button below. If you'd like to learn more, please consider purchasing the open source photography course available at rileybrandta.com/lessons. More information about the course and links to all my social media sites can be found in the description below.
This is pretty freaky.
Look, Celia, we have to follow our passions. You have to go robotics and You have to go robotics and awesome space.